Okay, so establishing shot. Let me go pull this up here. So here is an example of an establishing shot. I have these pictures from the '09 version of Star Trek. This scene here. This is on the outside of some cave that they just came out of. They're establishing the setting. They've come out of this cave. They're now on a cliff face. They can also see the area around it. It is a cliff face that is... why isn't it showing my... There we go. So the cliff face is surrounded by basically a very, very large fall. So you know it's not a great, safe area to be. And then it's just establishing, hey, they are way out in the middle of nowhere, and this is a not safe place. Here's another example. So this is the Star Trek hangar, and the next scene involves them getting onto the Enterprise. So they're establishing, hey, welcome. We're in the bay for all of the ships that, I guess, the ferries that go up to the big ships in space. So we're in the hangar space, and that's where our next scene is going to take place. Here we have the scene from when Kirk's way younger, driving around in Iowa. So they're establishing that the kid is driving. They're on a dirt road, because you can see all the dirt being kicked up behind him, and that there's nothing around. So you can see there's literally nothing except for what looks like a small tree far in the background. So establishing, again, our setting for the upcoming scene. Which brings us to the wide shot. So here in the wide shots, this is where you are starting to take into account things like the character. So a wide shot. Camera frames the subject head to toe loosely. That is just a loose description of its usage. A reason, a lot of like the key takeaway for a wide shot, I guess I should say, introducing a character or characters into a new space. So if you're walking into a room, you might have the wide shot of somebody stepping into the scene or something along those lines. But again, the key is that a wide shot is something where the character can be framed head to toe. And what that might look like is something along the lines of this. So this is quite a wide shot. It almost starts off as an establishing shot because you're kind of far away from him, but you can see all of Kirk head to toe. Here is Kirk's dad sitting in the command chair, framed basically head to toe as he's seated. Here, wide shot, you have Kirk walking into the frame. You have characters in the foreground, but Kirk walking into the scene is the main action. He's the new addition to the scene. Context that you'd be unfamiliar with if you just see this clip. And then here you have not Nero, but Nero's henchman number 1. And he's walking into the red matter chamber to make black hole. So that is a wide shot. So again, just character head to toe. You're seeing the character, you're seeing their surroundings, you're seeing the best of both worlds. Okay. Wide shot. Wide shot done. Medium shot, excuse me. So, your medium shot, this is your bread and butter. But just like bread and butter, the famous quote from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, bread makes you fat. This is your bread and butter shot. But if you use this too much, you're going to get fat. AKA, it's not going to be visually interesting. That's actually like a crazy dark statement. So most common shot type, shot from the waist up. The reason why you don't want to use this too much is that there is more going on with your character than just what's going on between here and here. Often we are caught up in the dialogue and emotion of a character's face and their body, but there is more more to their body language than just this. It could be how they're, if they're rocking back and forth on their feet. It could be what they're standing on. That'd be a matter for the scene. All kinds of those things. So you want to use a variety. I just realized the self-view is blocking part of this. There you go. So medium shot. Good for dialogue though, because obviously you're close up and you can also see upper body motion. So things like me and my Italian heritage, you would see things like me talking with my hands like this or gesturing at something. So medium shots you see a lot with dialogue for that reason. You have a close-up shot. Close-up shot, basically we're just zooming in closer and closer. So close-up shot, we're talking basically shoulders up, framed up real nice and close on the face, and the upper body. So you might see things like they mentioned in the video there about Fincher. You might see people like on shoulders to know that they're like scared or unsure of themselves. So these kind of emotional type things. Very good for showing like facial emotion because you're focused in on right here. So that's when you would probably use your close-ups, getting zoomed in on the face. I gotta show my examples for the last one, I realized. So let me flip back over. And see you later. So medium shot. Classic. So torso up. Show them talking to the viewport. A group of people discussing things. And character dialogue. So kind of a running theme. What else was I gonna say? One thing that happens a lot, which I'll talk about that during Over the Shoulder actually. You don't want to use too many medium shots for your dialogue, but obviously there's, as you can see, quite a bit of medium shot dialogue that happens. Close-up shots. So we're trying to focus in on a particular emotion on our character's face. So here it's Nimoy explaining to Zachary Quinto here that he's got to carry this franchise because he's on his way out. Then you got Zachary Quinto showing off his microblading, and then you got I forget this actor's name, but he's in a lot of stuff. Being concerned. You got oh man, he's in The Boys and he's in Ragnarok. Does anyone remember this actor's name?
Oh, Karl Urban.
There you go. He's a great actor. I always forget his name though. Yes, Karl Urban. Yeah. So here you see him being pissed off because he's divorced. Here you got this kid almost drove a car off of a cliff and he's fine. And then you got kid with bad blonde wig driving towards the camera. So again, there's a lot of emotion that's visible on the characters' faces, and so when you use these kind of shots, you're making a stylistic choice to focus in on this character's face and emotional, like showing their facial what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Just showing their emotion on their face. Alright, extreme close-up shots. These are, you may have heard the term Chekhov's. Who has heard the term Chekhov's gun before? Usually as a rhetorical device. Chekhov's gun has to do with an episode of Star Trek where they show very prominently that Chekhov's gun is in the shot, and it's like really obviously in the shot, and so you're like, okay, why are they showing us this? Well, like 20 minutes into the episode, they're in that room and then they grab the gun. Oh my god, how could we have known that the gun was there? Usually it's because of something like this, an extreme close-up shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, please come to the attendance
please come to the attendance office.
Lace Summons is getting summoned to the office. Interesting. So here we're showing guy picks up gun. Hey, just so you know, this guy has a gun now. Just letting you know. Also, it's good for showing. This is like closer. So close up, it being shoulders up. I think this is in the wrong one. Again, this is a PowerPoint. So that goes to show you how long ago I made this.
You're using clips from a movie that came out 10 years ago.
It literally came out in 2009. That is correct. So here is Nero looking evil. Actually, is that Nero? I think that's Nero. Here is extreme close-up of the officer's boot stepping down. And then you got him slamming on the brake pedal. So extreme close-up shots, that's for like, hey, pay attention, audience, look at this. So keep in mind that you are not just telling us a visual story, but you also need to make sure, you need to idiot-proof it a certain amount. Definitely trust your audience to understand a deep story and a visual story, but also sometimes it doesn't need to be a Nancy Drew novel. You can just show them, this person has the knife! They have the knife! Look at them! Like, you don't need to, sometimes you don't need to make the audience guess. You can just show them specific things. So you have to choose when to deploy these types of things. Like, I'm going to use an extreme close-up shot to show them picking up this gun, because when you see this character turn the corner in like 10 shots from now, they're going to turn the corner and this guy's going to be standing there with the gun. Like, so we need to make sure that the audience knows that this person has the gun, so they don't just like, wait a minute. So those are our 5 major shot types. So starting from very, very far away, we have the establishing shot, shows our whole scene. Wide shot, showing our character head to toe in some setting. Medium shot, torso up on our character. Close-up shot, shoulders up on our character. And then extreme close-up, like either focused right on their face or right on some object, if they have something in their hand, if they have something in their pocket, something along those lines. So extreme close-up for things that you need to get the audience's focus on. Questions on the 5 major shot types? Okay, good. All right. So let's jump ahead to the camera angles. So 5 major camera angles. I'm going to start with the first one, over the shoulder. This is basically, it's not really a camera angle. It's a way of describing how the camera is set up in the scene. So over the shoulder, OTS. The camera is placed behind a character looking out at a scene or another character. So you would have an over-the-shoulder, you might have an over-the-shoulder high-angle shot, or high-angle medium shot, excuse me. So the over-the-shoulder is a modifier, basically. It's like, hey, we're doing this shot from this angle. Also, it's over a character's shoulder. So like, say this character's running out a cliff, and they realize it's a cliff and they like slide to a stop. You're looking over their shoulder at an establishing shot of this canyon, and it's from a high angle. It's all 3 of those things. It's over the shoulder because it's shot from behind this character's shoulder. It's an establishing shot because you're showing a wide open space in this canyon, and it's high angle because you're pointing the camera downward. So it's listed in the camera angles, but it's more of like just a notification that it could be an angle. It's also behind a character, so it modifies how your shot is set up. And then now, working our way top to bottom, bird's eye, BE. Basically, that is from the top down. So if you have, let me see here. What do I got in my... So, more or less just looking straight down on something, it gives you it gives you an overview of what you're seeing in the scene. It helps establish the locations of things like that. Again, we're seeing basically, so now we're seeing, hey, you can see that they're very close to the edge. You can see here, They are fighting in the middle. There are lots of tripping hazards around. Before I forget, here's some over-the-shoulder shots. So here's an over-the-shoulder close-up, over-the-shoulder close-up. Here's an over-the-shoulder wide shot, more or less. Over-the-shoulder close-up. Extreme close-up, maybe even, because you just see her head. So, all right. So we got bird's eye. We got high angle. High angle shots. They look down on our subject. You are basically assuming the position of looking down on this character. So they are typically, because you're looking down on them, in some vulnerable position. So in this case, you can see that he is very vulnerable. He's looking down on him, about to fall off into the planet and die. Here's also Chris Pine getting choked out. Not a great day for him. So here we are looking down on him in a vulnerable position. It doesn't have to be them almost dying. It could actually just be them being crestfallen or sad, and the shot is looking down on them as you see them sort of like hunch over and like look pouty and stuff. Like, so that we, as an audience, you're forcing the audience to be looking down on this character. You're making them assume a position. Eye level. I don't need to explain this, I hope. It means that you're about even. It's like if I'm 5'11", if I were talking to someone who's like 6 foot, 5'8", whatever, we're just like basically looking straight at each other, you know. Eye level. All right, low level. So you're looking up at someone in a position of power. So you will notice if you go back and watch 300, pretty much every shot that they have of Cersei is shot upward, because he is the god king. Okay, he's in a position of power. It's also why, if you notice the conversation that they have, Leonidas and the envoy from who's seen 300, before I continue this? Am I talking to 4 people? And I'm legit talking to 4 people in here. All right. Well, there's a conversation. It seems like they're having a conversation on even level, that they're treating each other as equals, and then switches gears where Leonidas is like, actually, I don't play that game here. I'm just gonna murder all of you guys. And then the camera angles switch from being even between the two characters to Leonidas's looking down on the characters, and the Persian emissary is looking slightly up. So you can use that to manufacture emotion. So here we're looking up. This guy's in the position of power, trying to step on his hands. Here's Nero being mad and choking out Chris Pine. Also, this can be someone who's smugly knowing that they're gonna win. You know, like, it could be the good guy, like looking up at them at the end, and they're like, "Aha, have you beat?" And then you're looking up at them, assuming they're, you know, that person is now the power broker in the scene. So you look up at characters with high angle being pointing down, and low angle looking up. So assume the name of the shot angle is the position the camera is looking at. So if it's a high angle shot, we're at the high angle looking down. If we're a low angle shot, you're down low looking up. So the name of the shot angle tells you where the camera is located. Is it up high or is it down low? Questions about our 4 camera angles and our bonus camera angle, the over the shoulder shot? Okay. So I promise you I will make sure that the answers are up for enough time, but I just want to get this mostly done, showing off all the camera shots. So, 4 camera moves. 2 of these were mentioned in the David Fincher video. 2 of these were not. Lorena, you have a question? Oh, you're stretching. So let me scroll back down here. Oh, I even have Dutch angle in here. Okay, bonus round. The Dutch angle Basically, the Dutch angle makes everything seem like it's in motion because it creates lots of diagonal lines in your scene. Basically, Dutch angle is you just take the camera and tilt it. Like, really, that's it.
That's what the Dutch.
The line of actions become diagonal lines, so it forces the eye to move across the widest portion of the frame, from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. Okay, camera moves. A dolly. All right, so this is here. Actually, I'll use this. No, I have a camera. I don't need to do that. I'm gonna grab my camera so that I can demonstrate these camera moves. So we have a camera pan, a camera dolly, and there we go. And Danny doesn't have it. Whatever. Okay, so I got my camera. So if I want to dolly my camera, okay, a camera dolly move means that the camera is moving through the scene with the subject. So if I'm the camera operator and let's say there's someone walking through the rows, I'm moving the camera along a track or along a path. So this is dollying the camera. I'm following the character while also moving my camera. A camera pan, which I need to go back and change in a second, you are still following the person through the scene. So let's again assume someone's walking through the row here. So a camera pan, the camera is located in a fixed spot, but it is rotating to follow the character. Oh, thanks. So this is a camera pan. So I'm still following the character through the row, but the camera stays in a fixed location and only rotates to follow the subject. So dolly, camera moves with the subject, moving the camera. A pan is when the camera stays in one location but rotates to follow your subject. Questions on the difference between the two? You do not want to get those two mixed up. Okay, cool. Just a word to the wise. There's no vocab quiz on this. I not only want you to, but encourage you to continue to look at these notes as you do these for the next couple of weeks until you get comfortable with using these terms properly. Okay, so a rack focus and a rack zoom. Actually, I don't have rack zoom in here, but I can explain rack zoom. So using a rack focus is basically changing between the foreground and the background. So let me just show my example actually real quick. So in this picture, at the start of the scene, it's focused on the background, the boy climbing out of the canyon. Okay, then we quickly shift the focus, and then the background becomes blurred, and the foreground becomes in focus. So that is called a rack focus. So if you want to quickly shift the focus of the audience between your foreground and background. And I'm going to leave this up for a second so that you guys can copy it in, but then I'll show you a rack zoom. Rack zooms are they're complicated to pull off in film. They're actually quite easy to do in animation. But a rack zoom is just similar in concept, but you zoom in or away from a subject. So like an example would be like if you had an establishing shot of say like Times Square, and it's like really far out, and we're establishing the scene, and then you just have the camera quickly zoom down to focusing in on one person walking through the crowd. That would be a rack zoom. So questions on our 5 and 4 and 4. So 14 vocabulary words. Short, sweet, to the point. Okay, cool. Let me... Alright. JAWS rack zoom. Pretty sure this will work. This is like one of the most famous zoom shots. So this is a dolly zoom. So at the same time that they are changing the zoom of the camera, they're also moving the camera away, which creates this visual distortion effect. So what? It's 3 seconds. Watch. So notice how the background is zooming away while it's still more or less keeping the face in the same spot. So that is, let me see, lens distortion GIF. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, this is my favorite one. So that is simply the length of the lens is what determines this kind of stuff. And so you can see the kid's face is staying in the same place in the frame, but they're changing the length of the camera. So basically what's happening in this shot is they're doing exactly that while moving the camera back to compensate for... Actually, I take that back. They're moving the camera closer to him as they shorten the zoom, because they're really zoomed in on him now. And so as they're lessening their zoom on him, they're moving the camera closer to him, which is why at the end his the background is, oh come on, whatever, you guys get it. Okay, so there you go, rag zoom. Where are these notes? Here's the notes. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna stop the recording.